Good morning, friends. So I am Tasha from the Scruffy fam, and we've been doing a lot of really exciting things out here in our garden the last couple weeks. Everything except like 1 square foot is completely planted out, and I'm super excited. Things have been going crazy. It's been really dry, but it's been really warm, and so a lot of the things have really responded very well to that. So make sure if you like what you guys see that you subscribe. Go check us out on Instagram, kind of follow along what we're doing in our day-to-day. We're just getting started with the season. There's a bunch of stuff coming. My next video that I record, I'm actually going to be I'm going to do like a series on making kombucha, and the very first one is going to be how to actually grow your own SCOBY from scratch, basically from a bottle that you can buy at the store. Super cheap, super easy. And you don't have to spend like $20 buying a SCOBY online. So stay tuned if you're interested in that, and I'm going to be doing some other herb videos, especially as the things kind of start growing here in our garden. So anyway, all that talking, let's get into it. So first here, this is our carrot pot. I don't remember exactly which varieties. I think I did like half on the outside of one kind and half on the other kind, and the third kind in the middle. Whatever the third kind is, you can see there's not great germination, but these guys are getting nice and tall, so I'm pretty excited about that. Carrots can be kind of finicky to grow, but they're doing not too bad. So we live in Wisconsin, Zone 5, South Wisconsin, and our spring feels like it lasted about 2 weeks. Winter didn't want to let go. We had a frost in April, if I remember right, and just a couple weeks ago we had lows in the 30s, and it's June. So winter did not want to let go, and then summer seems to have just kind of budged on in to take over. So our 10-day forecast is in the low 80s now, with some supposed rain, but they say that and then it rarely happens. So we'll see if it actually rains. We do need it. It's getting pretty dry around here. But yeah, so I'm actually pretty impressed with how well our cold weather crops have done. And the heat doesn't seem to be taking them out quite yet. They're hanging in there pretty well, and they're still growing, and we're getting a lot of food off of them. And you'll see here, I'll show you our spring bed. So these are our peas. Climbing up this, yes, good morning chickens, climbing up this bamboo trellis, and as you can see, we're starting to get our first peas on here, and this thing is loaded with flowers. So the heat doesn't seem to have quite bothered these guys too much. Just keep them nice and watered, and this bed gets morning shade and then afternoon and evening sun, so I think that helps. These 2 rows here, I don't know if you can really tell, those are the onions. So the onions are not doing quite as well as I would want them to. There's a couple that are coming in really strong, and I think we will be able to get food from them, but there's a lot of these seedlings that just kind of withered and died once we transplanted them. They were not as big as I wanted them to be. They weren't as strong as I wanted them to be. And I didn't start them early enough, really, is the long and short of it. So next year we will definitely be changing that, starting them in plenty of time so that they are nice and tall before they even get put out here in the garden. But this was an experiment, first time growing onions from seed. So I'm interested to see if we get bigger onions than when we were just doing the store-bought sets. That's supposed to be the theory, is if you do it from seed, they get bigger. We'll see. And then here we have our first batch of early wonder tall top beets. No real roots or bulbs forming yet, but we've got some nice greens. And then this is the succession planting starting to pop up. And then over here, these last 2 squares, those are a summer chicken. These are the summer heat-loving carrots that I just planted. You can see I actually have some weeding I need to do. They haven't come up yet. I don't expect them to. They're going to take a few more days. Alright, guys, seriously. Alright, and this one I'm kind of perplexed. So this is our tatsoi. which is nice and tall, but you can see totally bolted. We've still been able to eat off of it. It hasn't gotten really bitter or anything with the flavor yet, but this is supposed to be a heat-loving spinach, and this bolted before my normal spinach. We got like one really super hot day and a bunch of kind of mild ones, and this started. So I don't quite know what to make of that. At some point I'll pull these guys and reseed them and see if they do better if they grow up in the heat as opposed to cold and then it getting hot really sudden. I wonder if that's maybe what happened there. Alright, here we have our kale going crazy. So this is the Premier kale, and I think this is so interesting. These came from the exact same seed packet. You see the shape of those leaves, and then the shape of these leaves. Like, these guys don't look super similar, and it's not a mix. So, just curious. And then, oh goodness, we have greens all overgrown into each other over here. This one, so these ones are the red Russian kale. There is actually two in here, believe it or not. Tatsoid fell over there, trying to take everyone out. And then these are our spring cold weather lettuces. There are no signs of bolting yet. They're doing great. We're eating off of them. They taste great. Very little pest pressure. We've had a couple of them get a little bit eaten, but so I'm very glad that we moved the lettuce over here to this spot, because you can see the chicken coop here actually gives this shade. These guys really only get evening sun. I think it's done really well for them. And then of course here's Bloomsdale spinach. That's trying to bolt and go to seed, but we're still able to eat off of it. So we've been doing all the smoothies and quiche and salads and all this stuff, trying to use this up before they don't taste good anymore. Okay, so the chickens are yelling at me because I've not given them any treats yet. So that's our spring bed. Like I said, with the heat that we've had, I'm actually really impressed at how they're doing. And even though some of them are trying to go to flower, they still taste good. So, you know, we're still getting a lot of food out of them. All right. And then I think I've totally forgot this in one of our other videos, but I have some pots that I have used previously. I have not seeded anything in these pots this year. I was actually planning on not using them at all. So they've just kind of been sitting here on our picnic table outside. And this happened. Catnip number 1, catnip number 2, pot of baby catnip, and I'm so confused why these guys are growing so differently. I'm not sure. More baby catnip, more baby catnip. These guys, you can see, I've actually been trimming them so that they grow in a little bit more bushy instead of quite so leggy. So yeah, volunteer catnip potted patch. I'll take it. Okay, so this is the potato hot mess. This is the hugelkultur bed that we just put in, and actually one thing that I think is really interesting is you'll see these guys here. So these are what I planted for the trellis, and these were planted just over a week ago. And we've got cucumber, watermelon, cantaloupe, zucchini. These guys germinated and are growing faster than their counterparts planted over there. Very interesting. I wouldn't have expected the hugelkultur thing to have made that much of a difference, but it seems to. And then our poor basil over here. So I didn't really... The potatoes are trying to go everywhere, so I think I'm actually going to put some chicken wire or string or something and tie these potatoes back, because our poor basil is getting so shaded. Like, it's only getting morning and maybe some afternoon sun, which is probably why he hasn't really grown since we transplanted him. So I need to come out here and do that. But yeah, look at these guys. Happy little baby plants. The zucchini, I've never actually grown... Well, okay, so I've never grown zucchini or melons. This guy came in super big, super fast, and the melons look great too. And both of these varieties of cucumber that I'm growing, I started from seed. So they are both heirlooms. One is a bush pickle, and one is the dragon's egg cucumber, so I was really excited to have something interesting. So yeah, they're doing really well. I got cucumber starts last year, and so I'm curious to see how direct sown. Supposedly they're super prolific and they'll do great, direct sown versus transplanted, but we'll see. All right, and so then these slightly smaller, actually need to thin those guys out. They hadn't come up yet the other day. Cantaloupe, and there's our bush cucumber. So yeah, I love seeing little baby seedlings. All right, so I'm actually really excited to see, I hadn't seen any of this yet over here. So this, when we bought our house, the previous owner was a gardener, and so she left me a bunch of her seeds, and one of the ones that she left me was these bush bean seeds, and I tried to grow them last year and had zero germination. There should be 9 of these guys. Yep, there's a little one right there. Don't know about over there. And they hadn't done anything, and yet the new bush bean seeds that I planted, so there's your comparison. I had almost just written these guys off. I didn't think they were going to do anything, so I'm actually really excited to see some germination and growth over here. So yeah, that'll be pretty cool. And then we've got our 2 Tulsies. They've recovered fairly well from transplant. These guys did not like the cold nights that we had right after getting transplanted, but they're looking really good now. This one is the Ancho Poblano pepper. I started this guy from seed, and I'm like super excited about how big he was, because this guy, the jalapeno, was the transplant that I bought. He's super puny, so I mean they might just grow at different rates, but I'm proud of this guy. Here's chamomile, looking nice and big and bushy. It's definitely recovered from transplanting. I'm super excited for this one. This is the Collage striped pepper. And these peppers, and then I'll show you some of the tomatoes, they just got transplanted like 2 nights ago. So they're still pretty fresh out here. Just look at the leaves on this guy. They've got like purple, green, and white leaves. I'm super excited to see the fruit. This one is the King of the North bell pepper and the habanada. This guy, you can see, he's got some burning on the edges of the leaves. That's actually because he got too tall and was right up against the grow lights. This guy wants to grow, so I'm pretty excited. And then our corn. We have a nice little proper corn patch growing here. I'm pretty excited about that. Last time I tried to grow corn, squirrels or something came and dug up like every single one of the seeds, so that's really cool. This is our stevia. I almost killed this guy on accident. It was really, really leggy when I got it. Get out of there. And so when I transplanted it, I pinched a bunch off, and I was super concerned because it wasn't looking so hot for a while, because it was pretty much just these leaves down here and like tiny little buds there. And I was worried that I might have accidentally killed it, but look at all that new growth. This guy's going. And then this is our yarrow, which is also doing beautifully and has recovered from the transplant and the cold weather. Here's our marshmallow. Same with this guy. Oh, we're getting some straw seeds. Over here is where I planted our summer mix of lettuce. So hopefully these guys hold out and we can actually have summer salads fresh out of our garden. I'm pretty excited about that. And then this craziness. So you can see, I actually need to come out and do some trimming here. They're starting to throw their scapes. So that's super exciting. I've already trimmed off a couple of them. I am currently trying to figure out what exactly I want to use them for. But in probably... Oh, that's an icky stinger over here. Go away, bad stinger. I don't want you. Okay. So probably like 2-3 weeks, I will start, I'll pull one of these guys up and see if they're ready yet. But these stalks are so thick. Like, I'm super excited to see how these guys did. And you'll see here, the tops of some of these top leaves, I'm sorry, the tips of some of these top leaves are yellowing a little bit. It probably needed some more fertilizer. Garlic is a super, super heavy feeder. I did give it nitrogen and bone meal. It probably needed like one more dose of nitrogen or maybe some fish emulsion. But, you know, most of them look pretty healthy, so I'm not super worried about it. And then you'll see the bottom leaves are starting to yellow and die off. That's actually what you expect. I'm not going to be watering this guy anymore. I'm not going to be fertilizing. I'm pretty much going to leave it alone, let it finish curing the bulbs underground, and then we'll start pulling them up and see what we got. So exciting. Growing a lot. Oh, got a wood chip stuck in my toes. I'm growing a lot of plants that are brand new to me, that I've never grown before, and that's really exciting. And it's even more exciting when they do well. So, yeah. So I forgot when I was down there that this here is actually our calendula patch. That is all self-seed from flower heads that dried out last year. I do want to actually plant some. I have one open spot over here in the summer bed. I do want to actually try to plant some and see if I can get like a for real harvest, because these guys really don't get a lot of sun. I'm not sure how they're gonna do. Right, so now we're up here on the deck. We've had some wasp issues out here, so hopefully they're sleeping and they leave me alone. So this is our honeysuckle, and I don't normally show this guy, except that I am really hoping to get out here and harvest as much of these flowers as possible. I really, So normally I make a dandelion wine. That did not happen this year because 4 children, and then the dandelions kind of went bad. And with the weather that we've had, we didn't get the rain and then the sun that we would have needed for a second wave, so we just missed it. So I'm really hoping to try out a honeysuckle wine because it sounds really good. And then also we have a local strawberry farm here that lets you do U-pick, and they're going to be opening this week, actually tomorrow. So I am thinking I'm going to make some strawberry wine too. Really getting into the winemaking thing, which is funny because I'm not a huge alcohol drinker. It's just fun to make. I guess I could give them away as gifts or something. All right, so here is our blueberry. Super impressed with this guy. So this was just a random purchase from Costco last year, and then as well as the huge pot. And it's doing awesome. Like, he's getting nice and tall, covered in berries. We had some good fertilization. Oh, I think it's starting to rain. Go figure. Yeah, so we won't be pruning this guy just yet because it's still only 2 years old, but I do want to check and make sure that it still has enough acidic soil. And then I believe next fall is the first time that we'll actually start pruning back the first year growth. If I remember right, don't quote me on that. I haven't had to actually do it yet. And it's super annoying. I have to go up and around to get to the tomatoes because the honeysuckle is hanging way directly over the walkway, and some of them are covered in bugs, and it likes to slap me in the face, and I'm not about that. Here's something beautiful for your day, although they are starting to look a little worn. Our peonies have been gorgeous. I've not had the chance to cut any of them and bring them inside, but if you can tell, they are usually completely covered in carpenter ants, and I don't really want that in my house, so I will just appreciate them outside. Peonies smell amazing, so if you get the chance to get one, I recommend it. I actually want to put lavender in this spot, or I did, but I'm having a really hard time committing to pulling out the peonies because they're gorgeous. So maybe I will put the lavender elsewhere. We'll see. We haven't finalized our landscaping plan yet because we're still in the demo phase. All right, now we are on to, there we go. All right, now we are on to tomatoes. All right, so this guy here is our Sweet 100. So this one is not an heirloom. This is what I totally forgot to get cherry tomato seeds, you know, I'll fess up. And so instead, this is what, oh, look at these. I'm trying to grow suckers. No, sir. No suckers for you. I don't need that. Doing great. So this is an indeterminate tomato, so it's gonna definitely get higher than this bamboo pole that I have here. I might tie it to this. I'm gonna try really hard to keep the tomatoes pruned this year because we had a black cherry tomato last year and it took up this entire area and was also encroaching up onto the deck. So just being pregnant and huge and hot and uncomfortable, I did not come out to check on suckers or tie up or anything. So it just kind of got crazy, but also our season is so short that because it went crazy with its growth, we didn't get a lot of ripe tomatoes. So we had to cut a lot of them and let them ripen inside, which doesn't taste as good. So at some point I will be topping these guys so that they finish off whatever they have on them so that we actually get a harvest in our short little frigid north summer. All right, next, this one is the white tomasol. Hope I said that right. This one was from Baker Creek. It was the free seed they sent out with their orders. I know nothing about it at all. I didn't pick it, so we'll see if I get anything off of it. And then these three here are the Arctic Rose tomatoes from Fruition Seeds. And I want to talk about these guys for a second. Okay, so these Arctic Rose, they did really well last year. And we had a Cherokee Purple last year, and almost every single fruit was decimated by critters. They totally left the Arctic Rose fruit alone. I have no idea why, and we really enjoyed the fruit. They have a nice flavor. They look really pretty. So I decided I was gonna thin them and I couldn't bring myself to do it. So I decided to grow 3 of them. So what I have decided to do is I want to do an experiment. So there's a couple different ways that I've heard are great to feed tomatoes. However, there's also a bunch of people who say, that's a load of nonsense, it's not going to do anything, don't waste your time and your money. So, since I have 3 of them, they were all grown in the exact same conditions, all from the exact same packet of seeds, same dirt, same grow lights, same everything. And now they're in the same spot in our backyard. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one be the control, and I'm going to label these. I'm going to have one be like the control. I'm not going to fertilize it at all. Obviously I'll water it and prune it and stuff, but no fertilizer. And then I'm going to have one be like diluted liquid fertilizer that it gets watered with. And then the last one I'm going to foliar feed. And that's the one that seems to be the most controversial. Some people swear by it, and actually my package, or my bottle of fish emulsion says to foliar feed. But lots of people say that leaves aren't meant to uptake nutrients. That's what roots are for, which logically makes sense to me. But so many people swear by it. So I'm gonna try it and I'm gonna see what the results are. And if the results are, you know, if they're all end up the same, then, you know, we'll draw whatever conclusions we will from how this turns out. But yeah, so each week I'm going to come out here and take a picture of them, try to get from like the same angle, and then we will compare the growth and see how they turn out. I kind of wish I had a 4th one now to do like foliar feed and diluted fertilizer, but that might be getting too complicated. Anyway, so we'll keep tabs on that. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm actually really excited to see how that goes. Okay. All right, so now on to, I have a milkweed randomly growing in our front yard. I'm not even bothered by it. All right, so this is ranch elderberry, and as you can see, proudly displayed, she has all kinds of flowers on here. So I am noticing that the flowers are growing on primarily the older growth from last year, although we do have a cluster up here. Oh, there's one too. I hadn't noticed this guy. So as you'll see, I was super nervous about this elderberry because its leaves keep curling up, but it doesn't seem to be affecting it at all. And I had seen someone talk about how ants will actually do that to trap aphids so they can farm them. Because I have noticed that on some of these lower leaves, we had what looked like some bug damage. So I don't know if that's the case. Whatever is going on with it, I'm going to stop worrying about it because obviously this guy is growing quite well despite whatever the leaves are curling from. I thought about testing the soil to see if maybe it was a nutrient deficiency, but it's doing great. And this is so crazy. Like, this thing was a stick in the ground last spring. We literally got a stick in the mail with some roots in dirt, stuck it in the ground, and then it grew last season. And like, we're half a month into this season and it's already here. So I'm crazy impressed by that. I might actually get some elderberries. They won't be a lot, but you know, I might take some flowers, but I'm primarily looking for elderberries. And similar to the blueberry, we won't be pruning that guy yet. We're gonna let them get a little bit more established before we worry about pruning. And last, but surely not least, for now, is our other elderberry. So this guy is Bob. Variety is actually Bob Gordon, but it's funny. You can see down there where the little tiny little tag is. Their growth amazes me constantly. And I actually expected this one to grow a little bit slower because it's shaded by all of the porch and everything, and the other one is just kind of indirect sun. But it doesn't seem to have slowed it down a whole lot. I mean, it's up to my waist, and we've got some more flower clusters growing here, so super excited about that. All right, guys, so that, I'm pretty sure, is our entire garden tour. Hey guys, so our camera overheated and died, so I had to take it inside and let it cool off for a little bit. But I wanted to talk to you guys about something really cool that I've noticed this year with our garden. So we are an urban homestead. We're doing all of this to practice gardening. We're learning how to grow food and do some of those basic things while we're here in town. Someday we want to have acreage with like orchards and meat rabbits and a huge chicken flock and you know, just all the homestead things. Maybe even like a family milk cow kind of thing. So like, that's where we have our heart set on being eventually. So we obviously can't do that here in town, but what we can do is we can grow a lot of food in the ground. So that's what we're practicing. We're practicing our chickens, and they're doing quite well. And one thing that I've really noticed is I have always gardened from plant starts that I've bought. In my early days, they were even bought from like Walmart and Lowe's and, you know, the big box stores, before I really knew any better. And then, you know, I graduated to the And then over time I graduated to the local greenhouses and that kind of thing. But this is the first year I have a few transplants. One is because mine that I started died, and the others are I just didn't have seeds or I wasn't able to germinate them. The medicinal herbs I did get from a local herbalist, and then the jalapeno. Those are the only transplants that I have. Everything else was started from seed by me. So either direct sown in the ground or started indoors upstairs. And that has made a huge difference in my approach to the garden this year. I am much more attentive, and I have like an emotional attachment now to how these plants are doing. Like, you know, I wake up in the morning and I was like, I want to go check the garden, and I want to see how those new transplants are doing, and oh, did we get any peas? And like, there's a lot more excitement and ownership, when this is like my time, effort, resources that have gone into, these plants that are feeding my family. It's a pretty amazing feeling, and it's a huge difference. And so basically, long story short, if you have any small nook in your house to start seeds indoors, or whatever you can direct sow, I definitely recommend that you try starting your garden from seed. It makes a huge difference. Okay, so that's all I had to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye!